Hello, happy Friday, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host today for the Pet Pawcast, Dr. Roberta Westbrook. And here we are at the campus for all animals, the Houston SPCA. So thank you again for always joining us, always supporting us. We've just had some exciting things going on our campus this week and more that I'm going to talk to you about. So if you get an opportunity this weekend, please bring your family and your friends up to our campus. Take a look at the dogs and the cats and the puppies and the kittens and see if there is a pet that you have a connection with that you might want to take into your forever home. We have lots of animals with wonderful personalities that will make wonderful family pets. I do want to start with a special girl today. Her name is Bella. So this is Bella. What a cutie. Bella is about a 6-year-old adult female. She came to us because her family had a change in their lifestyle where they were traveling more. And they felt that it would be better if Bella had a home that was a little bit more consistent with people able to spend time with her. She's a very sweet dog. She knows how to sit. We can show how to sit, Bella. We can show that she is very good, knows how to sit. She's already on her way to having wonderful basic obedience and manners. We're working with her every day, but she doesn't need that much work. She's a great dog to begin with. So you can come meet with Bella and many of our other dogs. Bella's adoption fee is actually sponsored by Houston Texans hunter Cam and his wife Tia. So they have been gracious to sponsor not only Bella here, but several of our other dogs up on the adoption floor. So please come on down and take a look. And their adoption fee will be at no cost to you because they are sponsored pets. So take some time, come on down. I have a great show for you today in terms of information. We're going to talk a little bit today about the myths surrounding behavior of animals that come from shelter environments, how we can help animals be their happiest and their healthiest in their new homes, and what you can do to prepare your home as you bring in a newly adopted pet into your household. So if you have any questions related to bringing a new pet into the household or evaluating animal behavior, maybe this is your first time adopting a pet, and maybe you're not sure how to interpret and how to communicate with them. You know, dogs communicate with each other, cats communicate with each other in very subtle ways that we're not used to. Obviously, they're using nonverbal language. They're using a lot of body language. And it's important for us to also have a good understanding of what some of those body languages mean so that we can not only develop a relationship with our pets, but keep ourselves and everyone around those pets happy and safe. So if you have any questions surrounding that, please let me know. So jump right on in. I will start here with, when we get animals into the Houston SPCA, they come from a variety of sources outside of the shelter. Sometimes, like Bella, they had a home before. And when they have come from a home, it really helps us because we are able to talk and speak with the previous owner, and we're able to gather information such as, is Bella good with other dogs or cats or children? Does she spend most of her time indoors? What's her lifestyle like? Does she exercise? What kind of toys does she like? We're able to get a lot of information from those pets. Bella's enjoying her little snuffle mat there, always one of our favorite toys. And so some of those animals we have a lot of great information from. And as you guys know, we have a department here at the Houston SPCA that really helps us to prevent and investigate animal abuse and cruelty. And sometimes those animals come in with not very much background in terms of basic behavior training at all. And so when those animals come to us, we have a wonderful, thank you volunteers. We have a wonderful volunteer staff who helps us to enrich those animals, to get them used to interaction with people, to show them behaviors like walking on a leash that maybe they've never done, to begin to trust people again. And so we have a wonderful set of volunteers who comes in every day to really help those animals, reach their full potential and to come out of the shells that they were in before they got here. And so we have a variety of animals with different types of behavior, different types of backgrounds in terms of what they are used to and what they're not used to. And so when you're adopting a pet from the Houston SPCA, I wanted to encourage you about a couple of things. The first thing is preparation. When you're bringing a new pet into your home, part of the preparation should include contacting a behaviorist or a trainer and getting your pet set up for some basic obedience courses. And it doesn't even matter how old your pet is. So don't think, well, if I adopt a pet like Bella, who's 6 years old, she doesn't need basic obedience training. I'll just bring her on in. But it doesn't matter how old they are. It's not going to hurt for them to have basic obedience like sit, stay, come, how to walk on a leash properly, how to heel and how to walk next to you. Those are all wonderful things that we want all of our pets to know. So part of preparing for an animal to come into your home could include setting yourselves up for some training classes. So that's the first tip that I'll give you. I'll take a break there and see if anyone has any questions about pet behavior.
So Jamie says that her dog is stubborn. What can she do to help the dog not just listen, but to understand what she's trying to communicate?
Yes. What do you do when your dog is really not listening to you? And some of that, again, is just, lack of proper communication. Sometimes there is a disconnect between what we think we're asking our pets to do and what they are interpreting. And then I can't say that there aren't some pets who just are going to decide to do whatever they feel like doing at the moment. So part of that is rewards, figuring out what your dog likes as a reward. What can she not resist? What is that? Is that her favorite treat? Is that her favorite toy? What is it that's going to make her say, it is worth me doing what my mom has asked me to do so that I can get this reward? And so it may take some trial and error to figure out what that is, but that gets focus, right? That gets her to focus on what you're asking her to do because she wants that reward. It could just be that whatever the reward is currently, she says, rather than coming to you, I'll just continue to run around in the backyard. The reward is not big enough. And then past that, certainly, basic obedience and rewarding them for doing what you ask them to do is the way to go. So great question. Thank you.
Is there such thing as a dog becoming a diva if you're spoiling them?
Listen, the way that we have changed over the last several decades, you guys probably know this, the world of animals and pets and having them be a part of our lives has changed a lot over the last decades. And so we have really embraced, bringing animals into our family and treating them like our children. Most of, pet owners treat their pet like their family. And that sometimes means dressing them up in clothes and feeding them the same things that we eat. And that means taking them to daycare rather than leaving them at home. That means, taking them everywhere we go, on planes, trains, automobiles, all of the places. And so as we change how we, integrate pets into our lives, we can wonder, are we spoiling them too much? Are we allowing them to be the pets that they should be and to display proper animal behavior the way that they normally would? And so I think there's no black and white answer here, but we do want to make sure that our pets are able to display normal animal behavior. So for example, if you have a tiny little cute fluffy dog that you like to carry around and in a little tote bag, and that's kind of, your pet that you're carrying around, that's a wonderful thing to do, except your pet should also feel very comfortable walking alongside you and knowing how to walk on a leash. And so there's nothing wrong with carrying your pet in a tote bag, but you may also want to consider having your pet learn how to do normal pet behaviors, which is walking in the grass and on the concrete and getting used to those normal environmental, those environments that are going to be there every single day.
So Joe is wondering, she really wants to go running with her dog, but her dog does not seem to be interested in that. What kind of behavior is that?
Well, I'm familiar with that. And let's not judge, because not pets have their own behavior, right? Pets have their own personalities, is what I should say. They have their own personalities. And so think about the pet that you're adopting. Sometimes, another thing, when they come into the shelter, sometimes we know their genetic background in terms of breed, and sometimes we don't. Oftentimes we are making our best guess based on their behavior, based on the way that they look. And so we're trying to make our best guess. But animals that might be good running partners, may not be the English bulldog, or the Pekingese, or the Shih Tzu, or the poodle. And so you may want to make sure that if you are asking your pet to train with you as you're training for the marathon, that you have a pet that is not only able, but willing to do that type of exercise. So start slow, start with walking, gradually increase that incremental time that you're exercising, and see how they tolerate it. I wouldn't advocate for forcing them to do more than they want to do, but exercise is always good. And we also want to make sure, as we set goals for ourselves, we want to run a marathon, again, that we should take it slow ourselves. We also want our pets to take it slow. So we don't want to go from being sedentary on the couch for months on end and then going out to run 10 miles. It's got to be gradual, and maybe they'll take to it after a while. It becomes a part of the routine.
So Jamie wants to know what's our dog telling us when they wag their tail?
Wow. What is the dog telling us when they wag their tail? So you can sort of see, I think Bella is doing a little bit of tail wagging now, maybe just a little bit. So it can mean many different things. That's it. So one of the misconceptions about animal behavior, particularly dogs and tail wagging, is that it's always a happy thing. That if you see the tail wagging, it's always happy, and that's not always true. So you want to take everything into consideration. If you just got home from work and your pet's greeting you at the door and they're wagging their tail so hard their little butt is wagging too, you can interpret that as happiness. And you have taken everything into context. You're not just looking at the tail, you're looking at your pet's behavior. You know their routine, you know that they're happy. There are other tail positions that can mean very different things. So sometimes when a pet freezes and the tail is elevated and high and curved over the back, and they're staring intently at something, that could mean that they are unsure, that they are untrusting. It could even mean that they have the potential to show some aggressive behaviors. So you have to take everything into context, but tail position can certainly affect that. There are also breeds that naturally hold their tails low and down, like the German Shepherd or the Greyhound. These pets normally hold their tails very low and kind of between their hind legs. And so it doesn't necessarily mean that these pets are not happy. They don't typically raise their tails up and wag them like other breeds. So some of interpreting tail wagging is knowing what's the normal tail carriage of that pet and what breed they are. What's the circumstances surrounding the tail wag? Are they playing like we see with Bella here? Or are they kind of in a standoff with another person or another dog? And all that can contribute. So again, getting some training. If you're new to animal behavior, don't feel bad about that. Do some research. Our friends at VCA have some wonderful information on their website about pet behavior and how to interpret it. And then also contact a trusted pet trainer who can help you work through those details.
So Kristen wants to know, why do dogs and cats like to lick people?
Why do they like to lick people? Great question. Really, most of the time, we're interpreting that as love, as kisses, as a way to show affection. And the same thing, you can think about it in terms of the context around them. So again, you've just come home, your pet's excited, they jump up on you, they're licking your face. We typically will show that as a sign of affection, like they're giving you kisses. However, there is some licking that can be almost obsessive or compulsive, almost like a child who sucks his or her thumb, or, always has to have a blanket. Sometimes the licking is a calming, repetitive activity that pets do to soothe themselves when they're very nervous or when they're very bored. And so you want to make sure that the licking is not from excessive boredom, and that it's not causing health issues. As veterinarians, sometimes we see pets in our hospital for what we call lick granulomas. A lick granuloma is usually a lesion either on the front paw, on the dorsal aspect of the top of the paw, or on the hind limb. And it happens when they excessively lick. They just lick and lick, just like a nervous type of behavior. And it unfortunately causes inflammation in the skin, and it can cause them to lose hair, and it becomes something that needs to be medically treated. So not all licking is a result of kisses and affection. Sometimes it's a nervous behavior, and you may want to see your veterinarian if you are wondering which is which in your particular pet.
So Kara wants to know, do dogs dream?
Oh, they do. Isn't that a wonderful thought? If you've thought about, what are they dream about and what do they think about? They do. There have been studies to show that dogs do dream, particularly when they're about 20 minutes after they've fallen asleep, when they're in that deep sleep, that they do. And you may have noticed this in your own pets when they're lying down and they start to whimper or bark or growl sometimes. I mean, I've heard my dog growl in her sleep, and I'm like, whoa, somebody's in trouble. And so that does happen, and they do dream. Obviously, who knows what they're dreaming about? We always hope that those dreams are of positive things and positive experiences. But it certainly is a pleasant thought to know that they experience dreams, hopefully happy the way that we do.
So Jessica wants to know, what kind of behavior is when the dog appears to be happy and then leaves little tiny puddles behind?
Oh, yes. We call that submissive urination. So there are some dogs who are not aggressive at all. They are the sweetest, most caring dogs. And a way that they sometimes show their submission is to roll over on their backs when approached. And sometimes they release a little bit of urine. And that can be just showing that it's a submissive sign. I'm not a threat to you. It can be a little bit, for us, it can be a little disconcerting because we're thinking, oh gosh, is there a health problem there? And it's usually not related to health. It's usually just the dog showing I'm not a threat to you. And so building dogs that do that, you may want to contact a trainer, because dogs that do that could probably use a little bit of confidence building. So we want dogs to be in a nice, steady plane of having confidence, but not so much confidence that they feel dominant over people. And that might be a good case in which you contact a trainer or behaviorist and say, is there a way that I can build confidence in my dog so that every time he or she is approached, they don't feel like they have to completely, turn over belly up, that they give an appropriate greeting to who's ever coming toward them.
So Ben wants to know, pets who have whiskers, what's the function of whiskers?
Oh, yes. So they can have multiple functions, mostly sensory. So helping them to navigate their environment. And so as they walk through the whiskers, although the whiskers themselves do not feel, but they can transmit sensations to the skin that does feel. And so they do have an important function. They do grow back if they ever get, pulled out or cut. The whiskers can grow back, but still have a very important function. They even can help in facial communication. So as dogs do have facial expressions, you can look at your dog and you can see their little eyebrows raise up sometimes or kind of look furrowed. The whiskers play a part in facial communication as well. So mostly sensory input, helping them to navigate their environment, and also facial expression and communication.
Stacy wants to know, do dogs see in black and white or do they see in color?
They can see color. The color spectrum for our dogs and even cats is not as vibrant as people. And so the cells in the back of their eyes that detect light and that can show them different colors based on the spectrum of light that they're seeing, it's not as detailed as people, so they don't see as wide of a spectrum of colors, but they can see some colors. It just looks a little bit dull. Imagine there being like a dull filter over your world so that it looks a little bit more gray, not as many color variations.
So our last question is from Erica, and she wants to know, why do dogs specifically eat grass, and should she worry about her dog eats grass?
Oh, this is a very, very common age-old, concern about dogs eating grass. And there's multiple reasons. We don't know exactly why. Some say that they do it because they have a stomach upset. And so when they eat grass, it actually can trigger them to vomit. And so maybe they're trying to clean out their stomach or their system because they have GI upset. But I've seen some dogs eat grass and not have any GI upset at all. It just seems to be something they're smelling, or yes, something they're smelling, something they like, the taste of it. And so I would say I would not be too concerned about it unless it's really happening frequently enough. And if they have other health issues going along with it. So, if they're having vomiting or diarrhea or something like that, talk to your family veterinarian. And then to help your pet, when you adopt a new pet, to help your pet, get acclimated to their environment, don't forget, talk to your veterinarian about some over-the-counter medications and products that you can use in your home. We didn't get to these, but there's products for dogs and cats that you can use in your home to help keep your pets calm as they transition to their new environment. So please follow up with your family veterinarian. Now, if you cannot come to campus this weekend, please make your way to Neiman Marcus at the Galleria in Houston. We are having an adoption event every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We have puppies and kittens there that are available for adoption. They need to get home for the holidays, so please go see our team up there at Neiman Marcus in the Galleria. Ask them questions, say hello, tell them what a great job they're doing, and just look at those wonderful animals in the window. So again, we're happy to join you every Friday. If you're interested in supporting us and all that we do, please go to HoustonSPCA.org/donate. And it doesn't have to be financial. It can be your time through volunteering, fostering, many ways. So we thank you again for your support. Again, I'm Dr. Westbrook, and thank you for joining the Pet Pawcast. We will see you next time.